Hey, what's up everyone? I'm the Burning Baron, but you can just call me the Baron. And round 5 is a go. We are starting to rank Mario Kart DS's tracks. I'm gonna make the intro slightly longer, but the usual thing is that this is just my opinion, it's not facts. But one other thing I would like to say is that if you have been following this little series and you really enjoy it, and you've been coming back for it, why not hit that subscribe button, you know? Help me out, it helps me out a little bit, and I would greatly appreciate it. If you guys enjoy what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, we're gonna cover Mario Kart DS now, and I think it's worth just jumping right in, as always. So, we're gonna start with Figure 8 Circuit. Being another track that has not come back yet, still stuck with only one appearance, and probably being the earliest opener track that has yet to come back. Well, DS Figure 8 Circuit still doesn't really have much to say about it. It's about as notable as Peach Circuit and Mario Circuit 1. Except both of those have come back yet, as of now. So, yeah, there isn't really much I can say. Like, Figure 8 Circuit's a Figure 8. And unfortunately, Mario Kart DS does have a few issues for me personally. I think I forgot to really get into my history with Mario Kart DS. And the thing is, Mario Kart DS's visuals were kind of average at best. Being a DS game, obviously it wasn't really capable of these really intricate backgrounds. Even when, especially when compared to Double Dash, a game prior. Now, I know that's a little unfair to compare a DS game to GameCube game, but Mario Kart DS's backgrounds and overall details were really kept simple, mostly 2D elements and very minimalistic backgrounds. Figure 8 Circuit has some warp pipes and some block structures in the background, and does its job as an opening circuit track. But that's really all there is to say about it. It's not, I wouldn't even, obviously it's not as interesting as Figure 8 Circuits in the future. It's just plain stupid to compare it to tracks like Mario Circuit on the Wii U. But, I mean, it's just plain. And again, you've really covered everything the moment you say it's a Figure 8. So, what's to say about it? Well, the fact that I've repeated myself several times should show that there is nothing really else to go off of. It's just a very simple opener Figure 8. It's got, the warp pipes and the block structures are about as much detail as I can say about this. The music is great. I think the circuit theme from Mario Kart DS is also really great. But the lacking of detail, the lack of future appearances means that with Mario Kart DS as the only thing to talk about, it's hard to really rank this too terribly high. It's nothing special. It doesn't really hold the notability of most other openers. Again, I feel like Luigi Raceway is kind of setting a bit of a bar here for me personally. But if you really wanted to be a little more broader, I would say that even GameCube's Luigi Circuit holds a little bit more of a standard. Where the hell did I even rank that one? Oh, it's a B tier track. Yeah, it's also in B. Luigi Circuit on the GameCube would probably be one of the the bars for opening tracks. It's good on detail. It's simple, yet at the same time it offers a few extra quirks. I don't think Mario or Figure 8 Circuit really comes close to touching Luigi Circuit or Luigi Raceway. The question is, do I think it belongs in the C+ tier? No, I don't really think the music alone carries it. I personally think that this has to be a C- track. I'm going to say that it's... I want to put it in between Baby Park and Mario Circuit 1. Because when you think about it, It's really got the same, it's almost got the same simplicity of Baby Park with a bit more size to it. But like, Mario Circuit 1 also has a few more appearances to lean on, but it doesn't do anything with those appearances. I'm going to personally rank Figure 8 Circuit above Mario Circuit 1. Mario Circuit 1 is an iconic starter, but I think Figure 8 Circuit having the little extra detail just kind of inches it out. And again, like I said, Mario Circuit 1 doesn't do too much with its extra appearances. Even its variants in Tour aren't that spectacular. So I would say that Figure 8 Circuit is a C- that ranks just above Mario Circuit 1. So now we'll move on to Yoshi Falls. Yoshi Falls is again, the theme of DS tracks is that there's not too much to look at, especially for some of the openers. Now, that's not the case for every track. I can name a few down the line that actually have a lot more detail and a lot more interesting aspects to them. But Yoshi Falls is a step up from Figure 8 Circuit, but it's not reaching the step as some of the more notable picks of DS. And even as a Yoshi track, I wouldn't exactly wager this one to be the strongest of Yoshi tracks. Yoshi Desert holds a very, very special and biased approach of being a Yoshi-owned desert. I've already gone over that and why that's ranking an S. Yoshi Circuit is unique in that it's actually shaped like Yoshi. Yoshi Valley may not have much to do with Yoshi himself either, but the notability of having so many appearances and being a little more iconic in N64 kind of just ranks it a little higher as well. I would not necessarily want to say that Yoshi Falls ranks even above Yoshi Circuit, and that's the thing. It makes me wonder, where do I really want to place this? It's got a giant Yoshi egg in the middle, which is kind of cool. The waterfalls make for some tricky shortcuts if you have some mushrooms, but you really don't want those mushrooms to run out mid-waterfall because you'll probably end up falling. Otherwise, it's a big oval. It's a bigger oval than Baby Park, and it's got a little bit of a notch to it, I guess, but overall, it's not exactly the most exhilarating track. It returned in Mario Kart Wii, which really does do it a bit of a favor in that it looks a little bit better, but maybe that's also one of the bad things about not looking much different from its original appearance, in that when you're a DS track that already didn't really have a lot of visual details, you didn't really gain anything from it. I really do appreciate the idea of keeping the retro tracks very faithful to their original appearances. But now that I'm in the DS era and I'm really thinking about it, it doesn't really do a lot of favors for Mario Kart DS, where the tracks kind of lacked their details. So, unfortunately, that does put tracks like Yoshi Falls and even some down the line it doesn't really do them a lot. And that's unfortunate. The question is, no, you know what? As much as I don't dislike the track, I really just don't personally want to rank it in C+, because for me, C+ is tracks that I still do kind of like, or I think are strong enough, but I don't really hold too much of a heavy opinion on them. And the C- is kind of for the tracks where I really just don't have an opinion, or I just don't care about as much. Choco Island 1 is almost like just barely scraping that surface. I almost feel like Choco Island 1 might be able to pump itself up to C+. Actually, yeah, I kind of do want to do that. I almost kind of want to swap Choco Island 1 and 2 around, because like 1 was really fun in Tour, while 2 kind of started dropping off because of its earlier appearances. So here's what I'm going to do. Yoshi Falls is going to end up on the top of C-. We're going to put Choco Island 1 where Choco Island 2 is. As much as Choco Island 2's DS appearance was fine, I feel like Tour has just become so boring that I really don't think it's that strong anymore. And I'm gonna put Choco Island 2 right under Yoshi Falls. Because, like, I want to give this track a little bit of credit for what it's worth. Its Mario Kart Wii appearance is definitely strong. I like a lot of retro tracks in Mario Kart Wii, but I really can't see it climbing up into C+. Onward to Cheep Cheep Beach. Unlike Yoshi Falls, which Mario Kart Wii didn't really do it much favors, Cheep Cheep Beach reappeared in Mario Kart 8, which did do it a lot of favors. In fact, if you asked me before Mario Kart 8, Cheep Cheep Beach probably would have been in the D tier. But thanks to it being in Mario Kart 8, I think it's going to rank a little bit higher. Not too much higher, mind you. It's still kind of an average track for me. But in its base appearance, it was definitely nothing to look at. Water, sky, like this was just a 3D Koopa beach with slightly better detailing. At least it had a little bit of a forest section just before or in between like the beach, like near the starting line. It has a lighthouse, which is really cool. It had the boardwalk section with a few cabanas on it. If I'm correct, the cabanas might have been added in Mario Kart 8. But either way, it does have a few extra details that make it stand out when compared to Koopa Beach. But at the same time, the very bare minimum detailing of blue sky and water and sand just doesn't really do it much in the original. But thankfully that was rectified greatly in Mario Kart 8, where Piantas were scattered around. I think maybe some Nokis were also scattered around. The starting line is now a volleyball net. There's some extra detailing on the beach. The water is so much nicer. There's added islands in the background. Like, the detailing on this one goes on. And that's the huge plus for Cheep Cheep Beach, is that Mario Kart 8 saved this track. It even bumped my own opinion. Like, I was originally like, I would rather see Figure 8 Circuit appear in Mario Kart 8. But the moment they showed this one off, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll backpedal on that one. Cheep Cheep Beach is an acceptable track. And the music also really did grow on me. So here's the thing. I 100% still like Peach Beach more than I like Cheep Cheep Beach. I want to put this one in C+ because I think it deserves it. The question is, I have to compare it to two other beaches. Those being Koopa Troopa Beach and Peach Beach. Do I think that the improvements in 8 were better than Koopa Troopa Beach? I think Koopa Troopa Beach is going to land itself as my least favorite N64 track, and N64 tracks seem to be a very strong bar for most other tracks to beat. That should be understandable. Mario Kart 64 was my very first game. All the tracks resonate with me greatly. So they are in themselves bars to beat. And I do believe that Cheep Cheep Beach, when you look at its 8 Deluxe/8 appearance, I do believe that is 100% better than Koopa Troopa Beach in all 3 of its appearances. I will say that Koopa Troopa Beach's improvements in Mario Kart 7 were nice, but the sour note of that being chosen over other N64 tracks or even another GBA track kind of hurts it. Do I want to hold that as a real point of concern? Not really. But I would want to say that Cheep Cheep Beach does pop itself over Koopa Troopa. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank it. I'm going to say it's above Yoshi Circuit. Like, when I really do the one-on-one comparison, I do think that Mario Circuit from GameCube is a little bit better. But when I compare the 8 versions of Yoshi Circuit and Cheep Cheep Beach, I'm a little sick and tired of seeing Yoshi Circuit in comparison to Cheep Cheep Beach. A large portion of that ranking does come from my habit of doing 48 race versus every once in a while in Mario Kart 8. And there are some tracks that I'm just like, oh man, do I have to see this one again? Like, they're not bad, but again, this is a common theme here. Mario Kart 8 is just a little bit stale. So let's move on to DS Luigi's Mansion. This DS track has 3 appearances, 7 and Tour, along with the original. A lot of DS tracks, or at least a lot of Mario Kart 7 tracks have that. You know what? If it was in 7, it's also in Tour. That's just the bottom line. Any case, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Kart 7 is slightly the same idea as Mario Kart Wii, where a lot of the DS tracks didn't get too much in terms of additional details, but the improved 3D visuals, as well as the fact that Mario Kart 7 is also a handheld game, and the tracks have about the same scale as DS, I feel like some of the 3DS tracks the DS tracks actually benefited more from being in Mario Kart 7 than they did from being in Mario Kart Wii. The upscaling of Mario Kart Wii kind of almost like pronounces the lack of detail a little bit more. Like, the tracks are bigger and they're more magnificent, but they're still lacking in detail. Whereas in Mario Kart 7, the tracks look very similar to their appearances in DS, just touched up much better. So I think the visuals of Mario Kart 7 help the DS tracks a little bit more, and Luigi's Mansion is 100% one of them. I think the only downside point I can think of is that the portraits were replaced with just portraits of Boos rather than the Luigi's Mansion portrait ghosts, which kind of sucks. It kind of takes away a little bit of the charm of Luigi's Mansion and the reference, so that kind of sucks. But at the same time, the upscaled visuals, the 3D aspects, the additional gliding ramps, they were pretty cool. One gliding ramp was put in the graveyard behind the exit of the mansion, so you can use that to glide over the fence leading out to the forest. And within the forest, there's even an extra gliding ramp that like glides you right over the mud. It's not a very helpful gliding ramp because going that way is actually considerably slower. But it's overall they're pretty interesting detail adds, and I quite like them. Mario Kart Tour also had a few interesting aspects. There's not really too much to say about its variants. I think the trick variant was probably the most fun with the giant ramps in the mud. But otherwise, DS Luigi's Mansion is another track that's just kind of overstayed its welcome. It debuted in the third tour, I believe, which I believe was the Halloween tour. So it's a pretty solid track. I think what carries it the most is the fact that it's a really good reference to Luigi's Mansion. The whole mansion is there, you drive right in it. The foyer does look pretty faithful. And while the downward hallways don't really look like anything out of Luigi's Mansion, you can still kind of catch the visual details, and that they are pretty faithful. I want to say that overall, I would put Luigi's Mansion in the B tier. Now it comes to an idea of where. Right here, right now, I feel like Daisy Cruiser is a pretty good bar to beat, like the center point of B. Do I want to say Luigi's Mansion is better than Daisy Cruiser? Not necessarily. But I almost do want to say that it's better than almost everything else. I think I will put it in between Daisy Cruiser and Cheep Cheep Island. Because, like, when I look at the GBA tracks obviously don't age as well, but they're bright and vibrant, and I gotta give them credit. DS Luigi's Mansion nails the reference without a doubt, but I still think that Daisy Cruiser is a little bit more of a unique track. We might get to a point where I split up the B tier as well, so we might hit up a B plus and a B minus soon, but let's see how big that gets. So let's move on to Desert Hills. The stereotypic desert of the game, Desert Hills is almost entirely based off of the desert world, or I guess desert land of Mario Bros. 3. And much like Luigi's Mansion, it kind of does nail the references really well. This one went over my head when I first played it, and even when I played it in Wii, because I never really played Mario Bros. 3 at that point in my life. But when I look back at it now, it's definitely pretty impressive, with the red pipe structures, the wooden block structures all over the place, the stone pyramids, the block structures that are similar to like the semi-solid platforms from Mario Bros. 3. All really good callbacks to the desert land. The track layout is also pretty windy, pretty impressive for a Flower Cup opener. It kind of does justify its appearance in Mario Kart Wii Leaf Cup. But overall, it's also not that tricky of a track. You just gotta watch out for the pokies and the fire snakes that get littered around the track from the angry sun. Otherwise, it's a pretty basic track. The ending S turns are pretty windy. You don't want to get thrown off there. And the desert theming is also pretty well done. when I look at it, I definitely want to say that this is a decent desert track. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the worst of the worst, 100% no. But I think the references are really what's carrying this track. Excuse me. DS Desert Hill, I think, would be a pretty solid C+ track for me. Once again, really got to look at where. Mario Circuit GameCube. GCN Mario Circuit was also in Wii, and it was in the same cup. I can't believe I'm actually using Peach Beach as a bar here, because like I really did not anticipate that I would actually remember liking that track so much. I think what I want to do is it's a really tough pick. I don't know if I want to put it above or below GCN Mario Circuit. I think I want to put it below just for now. I still think GCN Mario Circuit is a pretty solid track, and considering that they both went into the same cup for Mario Kart Wii, they really kind of are duking it out with each other. And the more I remember, and even looking at the icon for Peach Beach, it really is colorful, and I do remember that it is a lot of fun, especially with the colorful cataquacks and the sunshine references, so I think it deserves to stay where it is. Maybe even move up a little bit, who knows? Peach Beach is kind of growing on me now that I'm actually ranking all this stuff. Alright, let's move on to Delfino Square. Speaking of Mario Sunshine references, I'm gonna have to apologize that Delfino Square is not one of my favorite DS tracks. Much like how I was saying for Yoshi Falls, reappearing in Mario Kart Wii unfortunately didn't do it too many favors. And I think another unfortunate thing for Delfino Square is that where Mario Kart DS had a lot of tracks that were straight up really good references to other games. Luigi's Mansion, Desert Hills, and we even have like at least two more down the line that are really good references. And when compared to all of those, Delfino Square's references don't feel nearly as strong. And even when compared to Peach Beach, I feel like Peach Beach did the sunshine references so much better than Delfino Square did. And I understand that Delfino Square is a very popular track, but it's just another one of those tracks where it just doesn't resonate with me nearly as much. It's a nice, quaint little town-looking area, and I do like it. The Piantas are great. Obviously, they're nailing some of the most basic of Sunshine references, the Pianta statue being one of them, Piantas being located within the area, and even some fruit stalls near the market area of the track. But when I really get down to the nitty-gritty, even in Mario Kart Wii, none of those details really stood out any more than they did in DS. And I still think that, again, Peach Beach just did it better. I really just don't care for this track that much. And it's really hard for me, like, I don't want to rank it below Figure 8 Circuit. I think by proxy, Figure 8 Circuit would be the weakest track in Mario Kart DS. But I also just don't really care for Delfino Square. It's bigger and harder, and it has a little bit... You know what? No, you know what? I am going to say that this really does go against what I initially was going to do. But I think... Okay, let me finish. When compared to Figure 8 Circuit, Delfino Square is better. It's got a better layout. It's got a challenging shortcut idea when you exit the small town and you enter towards the pier-looking area. You can jump across the grass just outside, just at the exit to the little town, and you can land yourself on the docks. It's a risky shortcut, but that is so much fun to pull off, and I think that bit of track detail is what is going to carry this above Figure 8 Circuit 100%. Because I was originally going to say that the music was going to be the tiebreaker, but Delfino Square does have an edge with its track layout and its shortcuts. I think they're really impressive, and the drawbridge, going up the drawbridge is always a lot of fun. Figure 8 Circuit does have stronger music, but Delfino Square has a better track layout. And when I think about it, I think I have to put it above. I'm still, I know people are going to hate it, but that's still ranking below Donut Plains 1. Because in the context of DS, I actually had more fun with Donut Plains 1 than I did with Delfino Square. So, unfortunately, Delfino Square is my second least favorite by the proxy of this list. I still think I like Figure 8 Circuit a little bit more, but if I really want to rank this fairly, I can't, like, this is another Bowser Castle 3 and Mario Circuit 3 situation where I know which one is better, but my heart is telling me to do something different. And this is kind of a reverse situation where my heart wants to do, like, my favorite wants to do something different, but I know which one's better, and this time I feel like I have to rank it on which one is statistically better. And I feel like the only reason why I would want to rank Figure 8 Circuit higher is because of its music, and I don't think, I can't say that's strong enough. So let's just leave it at that. Figure 8 Circuit is not necessarily my least favorite DS track, but Delfino Square just kinda has to inch it out. Alright, let's move on to one of the huge fan favorites of Mario Kart DS. We have Waluigi Pinball. This track is definitely one of the most iconic in terms of unique themes. A giant pinball table is pretty spicy for an idea. And debuting in Mario Kart DS of all places, that's impressive. DS Waluigi Pinball fits the idea of a DS track that's definitely taking up all the detail. Any detail that could have been put into Figure 8 Circuit and Yoshi Falls was immediately cut and put into Waluigi Pinball. 100%. I would wager that this has to be one of the most detailed tracks in the game, and its appearances only got better as it went along. It reappeared in Mario Kart 7, in Mario Kart Tour, and in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I would wager, like most Mario Kart tracks in Tour, it definitely looked a lot nicer. I'm gonna straight up say it, Waluigi Pinball is the Coconut Mall of Mario Kart DS, but I actually like Waluigi Pinball a little bit more. Now, I will also say that at some point, with how many people insist that this needs to be in almost every game, it gets a little tiresome to hear about. But right now, for Waluigi Pinball, I'm not going to let that necessarily get in the way. This is not going to be a C tier track, 100%. This is going to rank itself in B. But I think the funniest thing is that this track made it in Mario Kart 7 before the actual character did. So that was a little bit, I would say that's a little bit of an insult. So Waluigi Pinball, though, did reappear in Tour and in 8 Deluxe, where it received some really nice glow-ups, especially with the lighting. All the glowing pinball bits look so nice, especially in 8 Deluxe. They kept a lot of the sound effects going into these games. It is a unique track that it has a lot of unique sound effects when it comes to either passing other racers, getting an item, exiting the pinball table, all that kind of stuff. It's really nice. I'm kind of bummed that the pinball exiting sound effect didn't happen in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was only hearable in the course intro, which I think is a little bit of a waste, because that's kind of one of my favorite sound effects in the entire track. I think 100% that its 8 Deluxe and Tour appearances definitely carry it. The variants in Mario Kart Tour weren't too notable. Reverse Trick was probably the most notable because I have a lot of ranked memories on that one. And it was pretty fun. It was like one of the higher scoring tracks for my legacy of Tour. And it was definitely a pretty solid pick for Mario Kart 7. Obviously, it being in the same cup as Mario Kart or as Coconut Mall meant that people had to sit there and say Banana Cup is goated in a cup that also had Mario Circuit 2 in it. So have fun with that. I still think the Banana Cup in Mario Kart 7 was the weakest by proxy because I do not have the same bloated opinion on Coconut Mall and Waluigi Pinball. In fact, I'd argue that I actually like Koopa Troopa Beach and Mario Circuit 2 more. But that's not that kind of toxic opinion is not what we're aiming for right now. What we're aiming for right now is to see where in the B tier that we're going to be putting Waluigi Pinball. So let's head on up and see where we're going to put it. This definitely feels like a top of A or top of B kind of thing. I kind of almost want to say, you know what? I think it's got to be in between. It's got to be around. It's either beating or. Oof, where? Okay. I'm going to, for now, I'm going to put it below Frappe. It's going to beat out Luigi Raceway. Maybe, because I have been talking a lot about how much I love Luigi Raceway in Mario Kart 7. So putting Waluigi Pinball above that, don't know. This is going to be subject to some change. I'm going to be real, but for now, I'm going to rank Frappe a little higher because I do kind of like that track a little bit more. But I'll give Waluigi Pinball the beat it pretty much deserves. Up next is Shroom Ridge. I would wager that this was the DS most forgettable track for me. Like Cheep Cheep Island, it took Tour/8 Deluxe for this track to really pop out. I never really paid attention to it much. In fact, if you were to ask me like years ago, like a decade ago at least, or maybe when I was in high school, ask me to name every Mario Kart DS track, this would probably have been the last one I could have named for you. I would have been able to name so many more before that. DS Shroom Ridge is a great track. I do love it. It's the traffic course of DS. However, it got the short end of the stick, I think, in its return. So it appeared in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then in Tour. I'm pretty sure it was meant, like, again, I'm on the firm belief that the Booster Course Pass was probably meant to be a little, like, I feel like Mario Kart Tour was supposed to update a little bit faster than what it did, and I feel like a lot of tracks were supposed to debut a lot sooner than they did, and they started co-developing the Booster Course Pass at around the same time as most Tour tracks. So here's the unfortunate thing about Shroom Ridge. Wave 1 of the Booster Course Pass, and its visuals never got better. That's the problem with it. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Shroom Ridge is a little bit distracting on its poor visuals, and that's the problem. It does have some of the catchiest music for DS, and I absolutely love it, but there is no way that all the distraction... No, you know what? Not the music, but I think there is another fun factor to Shroom Ridge that's completely bypassing its visuals. The drifting opportunities. This track has Mario Circuit 3 levels of drift opportunities, and hitting all those purple boosts in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is sincerely satisfying. I have yet to lap anybody on this track, but one day I would like to get there, and I think it's feasible with this track. On top of that, Tour and 8 Deluxe did introduce a lot of fun shortcuts with this track. The context of the gliding ramp on the giant grassy section just before the second tunnel. No, first tunnel. Only tunnel. And the fan/glider ramp. I don't know which one was which. I feel like the... Hold on. No, I actually kind of need to look into this a quick second. Which one had the glider ramp? And which one had the fan? I swear one of them had a glider ramp. Oh, yeah, so Tour had the gliding ramp, 8 Deluxe had the fan. So, both are pretty fun. I think I prefer the glider ramp as opposed to the fan, but the fan does make it a little bit more of a risky shortcut to use. So, either way, both are pretty fun. I think what I overall want to do with this one is I do want to put it in the C tier. Whew. Oh boy. The yawning is coming. I definitely do not think it's as good as Mushroom Bridge. I have a bit more fond memories with Mushroom Bridge. I think I like Luigi. I think I'm going to put it near the top of C+. I definitely want to say that it's better than like Peach Circuit and Bowser Castle 1 from GBA. Now, saying it's better than DK's Jungle Parkway might be stretching it a little bit for me, but I think when I look at it, Shroom Ridge is definitely a little bit below Luigi Circuit. Luigi Circuit has a little bit more length to it that I like, and the details. And Mushroom Bridge is just kind of better. So I think top of C+ is pretty decent. All right, let's move on to the Star Cup where we have DK Pass as our starter. This is another one of those kind of lacking in detail DS tracks. It's kind of pretty plain. It does reappear again in Mario Kart Tour and in Mario Kart 7. Overall, like, it's pretty plain. I do like it, but it is pretty plain. I think it got a few detail upgrades in Mario Kart Tour. I think the tunnel is now like an icy blue as opposed to like a standard tunnel. Don't quote me on that one. I'm not necessarily going to check. But DK Pass is also pretty notable for me as being another one of those really high scoring tracks in Mario Kart Tour. I can crack some pretty, I think you can crack some pretty high scores in this tour if you have the right combination, which, if you've been playing since launch, you probably do at this point. I think DK Pass, like, the Mario Kart 7 choice of DS tracks was pretty strong. Luigi's Mansion, DK Pass, Airship Fortress, and Waluigi Pinball were all pretty solid DS tracks, and all of them being in Mario Kart DS or 7 was pretty goated. I wouldn't necessarily say that DK Pass is, well, it's probably the weakest of the four, but I still kind of really like it. Good music. I like the detail that they took from Mario Kart Wii's DK Summit, where there was a snowstorm at the beginning of the track, and by lap 3 it was cleared, so you could see the nice bright blue sky and the mountains in the background. I think there were a few log cabins that got added into the track. You know what? Screw it. We're gonna go and check. I know I remember the ending being a little bit bare in the original, but being oh yeah, so like there are some cabins that are in the tour version. They are not present in the DS version. And so in Mario Kart 7 they were added. Oh no, they are in DS, they're just very small and hardly notable. The ending section definitely got improved with time. It definitely got better by Tour, and I think Tour would once again be its strongest appearance. That being said, I do think that the visual details do bring it up a little bit, though I don't want to say that it's... This is probably what's going to cause me to want to split the B tier up, because I don't want to put this in C+, but this is going to end up ranking very, like, bottom of B, really. Yeah, it's definitely not going to beat out Luigi's Mansion, and I would argue that I don't even know if I want to put it above... Okay, you know what? I think I know what I want to do. First things first, I'm going to put this in between Luigi Circuit and Royal Raceway. Royal Raceway is kind of getting shafted with its Mario Kart 8 age, but Luigi Circuit's just kind of really good that I don't know if I want to put DK Pass above it. And that being said, we're going to add a row below. And we're going to call this the B+ tier. And we're going to make... Whoops. Ah, dang it. Oh, whoops. I didn't delete it. Put that back up there. We're going to make this one pink. And we're going to call this one the B-. And I think what I'm going to do is DK Pass is going to be top of B-, and everything below it is getting pushed to B-. I still think Luigi Circuit is pretty good to stay in B+, and same with everything above it. But we're going to say that B- is the above average for tracks that I do really enjoy, while B- is the ones that they're just a little bit... They're tracks I can't stand putting in the C tier, because C+ is kind of middle of the ground. Let's see, it almost is. Like, B- and C+ are kind of the middle ground. B- is just the ones that I like a little bit more. In fact, I'd almost wager that I kind of want to put Mushroom Bridge in B-. Yeah, I'm going to put Mushroom Bridge in B-, just above. In fact, I almost kind of want to do the same for Luigi Circuit. GBA Luigi Circuit could be B-. I think Shroom Ridge is a pretty solid start for the midway point between and. It's strong enough in its appearances, but that visual aspect in Mario Kart 8 Looks just, you gotta, guys, you could have done better with the booster course pass on that one. All right, moving on, TikTok clock. Holy crap, this is the one we want. This is the one I want to talk about. In spite of its Mario Kart 8 appearance and its age, this is still the best DS track. Easily. And I'm not just saying that because I'm also a huge Super Mario 64 fan. Mario Kart, okay, let's start from the start. DS TikTok clock is a very, very faithful reference to TikTok clock from Mario 64. It's got the visual appeal with the golden mesh flooring, the white clocks, the giant golden pendulums. And the background, it all looks like it was ripped straight out of Mario 64, which does make sense because Mario 64 did get a DS remake. So, yeah, pretty solid. Now, it did reappear in Mario Kart 8, and they did forego a lot of the original references to Mario 64 in favor of a much more impressive environment. It's so much more active, it's so much more filled up, like it looks like a giant, the inside of a giant clock tower. You've got gears everywhere, the clocks are so much more detailed, there's so much more mechanisms all around that I can't sit here and say that DS TikTok clock doesn't look super impressive in its Mario Kart 8 appearance, and I think that balances out the fact that it lost its solid referencing to Mario 64. I don't even think that the age has anything to do with it. Yes, this has been another track in Mario Kart 8 that we've been playing for 8 years or 10 years, but this was one of the strongest retro tracks in Mario Kart 8 that I can't place it any lower because of that. Like, this track is impressive in both of its appearances. So, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get straight to ranking it. This is gonna be our first DS S rank track, which means that we have to no, you know what, actually, I think this is pretty easy. I'm gonna, for now, put it below Sherbet Land. Sherbet Land still unlocked a lot of memories for me that I can't ignore, but ain't no doubt that this is better than Mario Circuit 3. And again, if you're better than Mario Circuit 3, you kind of by proxy have to be a little bit better than Bowser Castle 3. Bowser Castle 3 is still kind of getting a little bit shafted here, but DS TikTok Clocks 100% ends up in the S rank, and it earns that key. As, like, honestly, this probably is my favorite DS track, even above what I would originally say is my second favorite, or what was originally my favorite, but we'll get to that one later. And now we're moving on to DS Mario Circuit, being one of the only Mario circuits to not appear in the Flower Cup, and being one of 2 Mario circuits to appear in the Star Cup alongside SNES Mario Circuit 4. DS Mario Circuit definitely had its awakening with Mario Kart Tour, where it debuted in the 2023 Mario Tour, and it was added to Mario Kart DS or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe the same day as a part of the 4th wave of DLC. So this track basically got added to 2 games as a retro track at the same time. Pretty impressive. I think there was like a 5-hour gap, if I'm correct. It's pretty big, and it's a pretty impressive Mario Circuit. I do believe that its Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 renditions are a little bit better, but it was also compressed a little bit. It's not nearly as open and as windy in comparison to the original, and I think that's what I like about the original, is its size, but given the fact that we now do have to basically put it on the scale of, do I like the additional details better and the pretty enhanced gameplay, or do I like the size of it better in the original? And I think I'm gonna have to go with the detailing on this one, because it's really hard for me to sit here and praise DS Mario Circuit in its original appearance when it's got that DS quality, and the DS quality just kind of isn't pretty at this era. I will say that the improvements made in Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 were definitely great. I love the brighter color scheme, the forest at the very end, a lot of good shortcut opportunities when you play with this one with all mushrooms only. I think I made note of that in the Booster Course Pass ranking. And I definitely do believe that is a pretty solid improvement. But the OG does, while the OG is still pretty fun, and it definitely does capture the idea of being a Mario circuit, I think the OG is on the fence of being a little bit of an old-fashioned Mario circuit. I don't want to say that this one is better than GameCube's Mario circuit, but it's probably a little bit better than GBA Mario circuit. Alright, I think that basically nails where I'm going to be putting this. We have to now decide where. That's a tough one. I think that this is definitely duking it out with Cheep Cheep Beach, where its improvements in Mario Kart 8 and Tour were definitely notable, and the visuals are impressive. You know what? Here's what we're going to say. This is the first time I'm going to say it, and I can't believe I've taken this long. The visuals definitely were the deciding point here. Cheep Cheep Beach was base game Mario Kart 8. Mario Circuit was Booster Course Pass 8 Deluxe DLC, which means it brought its tour visuals with it, so Cheep Cheep Beach wins. We're going to put Cheep Cheep Beach above DS Mario Circuit, and DS Mario Circuit's going to go above Yoshi Circuit. Unfortunately, Yoshi Circuit's kind of getting a little shafted because of its age, but that's just how it goes. That's what happens when you let a game last about as long as a console does, Nintendo. Wow, I can't believe I just came to the realization that Mario Kart 8 as a whole effectively lasted as long as the Switch did. Longer than the Switch did. Between Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, its lifespan is older than the Switch. If you think a system gets old after 7 years, this game lasted 10. Age is gonna kill you. Yeah, your Yoshi Circuit, I'm sorry, you're dying here, buddy. Alright, Airship Fortress. Thankfully, did not get killed by age. In fact, Tour made this one better. So, like all the other Mario Kart 7 tracks, or Mario Kart 7 DS Retros, was also in Tour. Kinda got shafted out of Mario Kart Tour or 8 Deluxe. Kinda would have preferred this one over Mario Kart 8 or Mario Circuit, but we're here. I've already expressed that. No need to talk about that again. Airship Fortress is another phenomenal track that just wears its references on its sleeve with pride. Obvious callback to the airship levels of Super Mario Bros. 3, and like DS Desert Hills, it does a phenomenal job at covering those references. The airship definitely looks a lot like the airships in Mario Circuit, Mario Bros. 3, the log-like design on the airship sides, the use of the bonsai bills, or I guess now boomer bills. I call them bonsai bills. Or I guess even bullet bills in the original. Either way, the bill blasters launching bullet bills at you from the starting line. The giant stone tower behind you was pretty cool. The interior of the airship was pretty bland in the original, but Mario Kart Tour saved this track with some extra details. The fiery red lava below with the sunset/sunrise sky. The interior of the airship was redesigned to be like a hub area for like the Bowser's minions. They're like Shy Guys and Koopas and Hammer Bros, all chilling around like a bar. There's a dartboard on the wall. So much better than just like bland cargo space. Plus, I think the wall on the entrance to the airship was replaced with like a barrel holding thing that almost looked like they were holding like barrels full of like wine, maybe. Who knows? Maybe Bowser's minions are drinking wine in there. I wouldn't put it past them. I think when you have to put up with Bowser's shenanigans, you might turn to drinking a little bit. Would I say that they're drinking beer? No. I don't think they're going that far. I think wine would probably be a little classier. You know what? Either way, though, with all the talk, I think I have to keep this one simple. This is a pretty damn solid A-rank track. Where? I actually would want to say that this is just below Calamari. I love Sunset Wilds, but Airship Fortress's improvements in Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart Tour, are just too much to bypass. And this was already a really solid DS track to begin with, so bam, A for Airship Fortress. So let's start with the Special Cup. We're finishing this off real fast. Well, not real fast, but DS Wario Stadium. Another 8 Mario Kart 8 aged track. The difference is that this one doesn't really... I wouldn't say that this one suffers as much as Yoshi Circuit or Royal Raceway even. But it definitely does not have the same fun factor as, say, Yoshi Valley or, heck, even Donut Plains 3. So let's see. Wario Stadium did remain relatively faithful in its layout. It did add a giant anti-gravity metal platform that raised up, and it did turn the last leg of the race into an underwater section, as well as a gliding ramp that led right to the ending. So it basically covered all three new features in one, and I think that's actually pretty symbolic for a stadium. You cover all ground on its reappearance. In its OG, it took place during the night, and I do think that between that and all the rotating fireballs, this definitely did have a Wario feel to it. It did upgrade that Wario feel in Mario Kart 8 with the giant Wario statue planted in the center, so I gotta give it credit to that. The OG didn't really do too much with the Wario theming, but that's okay, because I still think it was a pretty interesting track. Very twisty, turny, a lot of mud. It was definitely like a dirt bike kind of track. It suits Wario's more dangerous approach, I want to say. Rugged, I think is the word for it. Not dangerous, rugged. That being said, I don't really think it's as strong as a B- track. But do I think, yeah, you know what? It's not a B-. There's not too much else to say about it. It's definitely a challenging track. It's a bit small for a Special Cup track, which I guess makes sense why it ended up being in the Leaf Cup instead for Mario Kart 8. But what I think I want to say is that this track is probably a C+ and is the opener for C+. Top of C+, better than Shroom Ridge. Its age doesn't kill it as fast as some other tracks like Yoshi Circuit or Mario Circuit or anything else really. But it doesn't have the same appeal that some of the other tracks does. Like I'd say, wow, is Yoshi Valley really the only other one ranking higher? Oh, Donut Plains 3 as well. Case in point, age didn't kill it nearly as fast. What was the other track? I was literally just saying a track that got killed by its age. No, you know what? Forget it. Moving on to Peach Gardens. This one's kind of this one's a half and half for me. There are times where I feel like I don't like it, but then there are times where I feel like I do like it. The music is definitely a mixed bag. I like a bit of its music, but then I don't like the first bit. It's catchy, but I don't know what it is about Peach Garden that puts it so on the fence for me. Okay, so this was so it started in DS, reappeared in Wii, and in those appearances, much like everything else, the appearance change didn't really do it too much favors. It wasn't until Tour and 8 Deluxe where I think it really started picking up. It was initially revealed for Mario Kart 8 first, but then it was revealed and released for Tour in the Peach vs. Bowser Tour, I believe, of 2023. The second one, that is. If I'm correct, Peach vs. Bowser had 2 tours within the same year, and it was the one that started after the Battle Tour in November that became the reappearance one, and that was the one that introduced DS Peach Gardens. Tour definitely did it better, and I think its strongest appearance has to be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where it was the only non-tour track to incorporate the reverse version into it. On the third lap, you'd start going down a brand new path that was created exclusively for the 8 Deluxe version, which rounded you right back to behind the finish line, and you started going into reverse on the track. I wish more tracks did this. And I'm glad that they found a way to make Peach Gardens achieve that by opening up a pathway right after the chain chomp of the first area, and they rounded you right back to going in reverse. I think that was amazing. Yeah, I would say that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe definitely carries this track. I'm gonna say that it was I like that it appeared in Mario Kart DS or in Mario Kart Wii as well. Fun fact, this is one of the few tracks, I believe one of 2 tracks, to appear in multiple games and occupy the same space in a cup. It was the second track of the DS Special, second cup of Wii's Lightning, and it was the second course of, I believe the Moon Cup? Yeah, Moon Cup. So it's been the second course in all of its appearances, barring Tour, which doesn't have traditional cup layouts, and everything shifts anyway. So, in any case, I think where did it go? Where did it go? Where did Peach Circuit go? Or Peach Gardens? Oh, right here. A lot of it off click. You know what? I was initially thinking B-, but its 8 Deluxe appearance really is a lot of fun. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B+. This could... No, I think I'm still gonna put it at the top of B-. It's good, it's great. There's a part of me that's just still... Like, I'm selling myself as hard as I can on this track, and yet for some reason, I'm still not fully convinced. This is like the equivalent to a salesman coming to your door, like maybe twice a week for like a few months. And you're always thinking to yourself, yeah, I really like what this guy is selling, but I'm just not there yet. Like, I just don't think I can get it. And like, he comes back and you're never really annoyed that he's coming back. You're just still not ready to accept the offer, but he's always kind of getting close to cracking you. You're just not ready to accept. That's Peach Gardens. It might be the fact that it's a Peach on track, I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, on to the finale tracks. We've got Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road. Actually, that's supposed to be Bowser Castle. One thing I learned recently is that Mario Kart DS, it was called Bowser Castle, which is crazy. I never even realized that. I was so hardwired to say Bowser's Castle that I didn't realize that it was DS Bowser Castle. This is definitely a strong Bowser Castle track. Of course, its visuals are going to be held back because of the DS track, but when you factor in all the hazards and the unique layout, I gotta give it credit. It loops itself around to a bridge that crosses over the top of the foyer of the castle. It's got a giant rotating wheel that leads to a small hallway that can act as a little shortcut. It's got the rotating tube that if you fall, you just get launched into like a small courtyard that you have to go around. And it's got the shifting metal blocks that appear over the lava. This is overall a pretty strong Bowser's Castle map overall. Now, I don't want to say necessarily that it's going to crack into the S tier, because I still think Bowser's Castle from GameCube is stronger. And its competition comes in the form of, I guess at this point, Bowser Castle 4. See, now when I look at it, obviously the SNES Bowser's Castles don't really have to worry about much aside from Bowser Castle 3. And the GBA Bowser Castle maps are pretty well spread out. And again, much like that, they're not really acting as too much competition. So when I want to factor in that its only appearances in DS, I still think it's a pretty strong track for its system. So I think what I want to do is I definitely want to put this in the A tier, but I don't want to say that it's better than Bowser Castle 4. I think I want to put this just above Donut Plains 3. I still think I like Banshee Boardwalk a little bit more, and everything above that still does strike a bit higher. But I do have to put it above Donut Plains 3, as fun as that one is. Bowser Castle DS is just, it's stronger. I'm not going to say that Donut Plains 3's age from Mario Kart 8 has any factoring into this one. I'm going to say any Mario Kart 8 track, retro or otherwise, that ends up B+ or above is showing that its age doesn't really kill it. So tracks like Toad's Turnpike, N64 Rainbow Road, not Ribbon Road, that the age and the Mario Kart 8's appearance has got nothing to do with this. You know what? You get the point. I'm not going to list them all off. I'm going to put Bowser Castle here for now. Sherbet Land might have a shot at kind of boot bumping itself up. Actually, it kind of does. When I really think about it, I do have a lot of fun with this. I'm going to put this one above. A little bit of live shuffling, as always. Alright, now let's finish off with DS Rainbow Road. This was my OG favorite from Mario Kart DS. Mostly because my experience with Mario Kart DS is that when we first got our DSs, my brother and I ended up getting New Super Mario Bros. And my brother ended up getting Mario Kart DS. And I played New Super Mario Bros. A little bit more while my brother played Mario Kart No, Mario 64 DS. That's the one I got. He got Mario Kart. And I played Mario 64 DS a little bit more, while my brother played Mario Kart. So my brother was the Mario Kart DS fanatic of the two of us back in the early days. I didn't get my own copy of Mario Kart DS until maybe high school, so I didn't play it until much later. And at that point, in the earliest days, Rainbow Road was the one I liked the most. I remember getting really pissed off at my brother for beating my DS record, or my record on Mario Kart DS's, because we kind of shared the copy. So, yeah, but like, when I really think about it, TikTok Clock is 100% the better track. Like, I love Rainbow Roads, but you can't just rank every Rainbow Road top of S because they're colorful and rainbows. I tried, but I'm not going to let myself do that. DS Rainbow Road also only has one appearance to go off of, and I think we just got to address the fun part right away. This is the only track before Mario Kart 8 to have loop-de-loops. Now, granted, that also makes it a huge shock as to why this doesn't come back in Mario Kart 8, the game with anti-gravity of all things, literally staring these loop-de-loops in the face saying, nope, we're not going to put you in. We have anti-gravity, but we want to reinvent it, so we want to look better than you. Rainbow Road DS did it first, guys. Don't look at me any other way. Like, we know it. Rainbow Road DS did it first. Mario Kart 8 tried to ignore that. But obviously the loop-de-loops and corkscrew was so much fun. The track overall was a pretty standard Rainbow Road. Challenging, no guardrails, it's pretty much everything you'd expect. It's got the same upward spiral section that Mario Kart or Double Dash's Rainbow Road had, which is a cool little callback. It has really nice music, and I think overall that we're still going to end up putting this in the S tier as well, but I think this is going to be in the bottom of S. This is still one of my favorite DS tracks, and I think it deserves to be in the S rank. Again, by proxy of being a Rainbow Road. Hilarious that the only Rainbow Road thus far that has not cracked S is Super NES, but when you're a guy who just loves colorful things, yeah, most Rainbow Roads just kind of get that benefit. Alright, I think this is going to wrap it up for Mario Kart DS. We are now reaching the halfway point of the ranking. All we have left is Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8, and Mario Kart Tour. And, well, Mario Kart 7 and Wii will probably be fine. Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart Tour is when things are going to get big because they have significantly more tracks. So, I hope you guys all look forward to that. Once again, if you've made it this far and you're really enjoying these ranking videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It'll help me out a lot. And hit that like button. Leave comments. What are your favorite DS tracks? Do you agree with what I've done? Do you disagree? Let me know. Let me know your opinions, and I'm willing to strike some peaceful discussion because you know I'm not going to judge you for your opinion. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.